All right, welcome back to the Hearthstone Australia Community Cup. If you've been with us, then you will know we are at the final losers bracket round, where we will see Mochii take on Nubs11, and the winner of that will move on to versus Blitz HS in the final. So we got 2 matches to go, one exciting matchup here, and then a very exciting matchup regardless of the grand final, just by virtue of Blitz's aggression. So, yeah.
Should be an interesting one. We saw Mochii early in the tournament descend to the losers bracket with some interesting decks. I theorized that his lineup was perhaps trying to fill in some gaps, targeting a few different decks at the same time, and therefore, he has an N'Zoth Rogue deck that I thought was going to struggle to beat some of the more aggressive lineups. However, things have gone a lot better for him in the losers bracket, and he's been facing a few more controlling lineups and has been able to pick them apart with some of his more unconventional card choices in the decks, which have been very exciting. And we last saw he was winning in the match, but it looked like he was going to be losing a Paladin versus Control Mage match against Gyatso, and then Gyatso played a Yogg-Saron that may have been a little ill-advised. Treachery gave Yogg-Saron to Mochii, who then benefited a lot from the buffs that Yogg-Saron continued to play, and for Mochii advanced and will be facing Nubs as soon as the players are ready.
It looks like we're jumping straight into a game here, and we're opening up with a Rogue mirror, but an interesting one at that. So you see Mochii piloting the N'Zoth Jade Rogue versus Nubs' 11 more conventional tempo Rogue.
Yeah, so what's interesting here, of course, Mochii is going to be trying to stall out as long as possible against Nubs, making sure that Nubs can't, have those big turns where he drops a Bone Mare on something and to push the damage home. And if Mochii can get away with it, we'll be reaching the late game where he'll be making larger and larger Jade Golems with the help of N'Zoth and things like that.
Well, we see, unfortunately for Mochii, that he does pick up a Patches the Pirate for turn and plays out the Jade Swarmer there. We see for Nubs a bit of an interesting take on the Rogue deck in terms of we have both the Shadowcasters there, the Sherazin and the Zara. What do you make of that very clunky mid-game package?
I mean, it looks more like a Miracle Rogue list than a Tempo Rogue list, but I'm assuming it is still Tempo, and the Zara is just a nod towards trying to beat more controlling deck lists, which we may be up against here. But of course, what we're looking at, of course, is that this hand may just be a lot slower than Nubs is expecting, and therefore he could struggle to actually close out the game before Mochii can get his superior late game online. So this is going to be interesting. A Hallucination offering Swashbuckler, which I'm not really surprised. And of course, Hallucination basically is powered up a coin Edwin Van Cleef, making it a 6/6. And judging by Mochii's hand, this might just be enough. It might be that Mochii's best bet here is just to Faceless Manipulator Edward Van Cleef and trade with it. Although, no, he's pointing damage at it with a Jade Shuriken, playing another Jade Swarmer, and trading it out the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I was saying this is a Tempo Rogue is because I saw the South Sea Captain, but now I'm a little bit confused.
No, I think it's
still
Tempo Rogue. Like the Shadowcasters suggest that it's definitely Tempo Rogue. It's the only thing out of place for Tempo Rogue right now is the Sherazin Corpse Flower, and I think even then that's just a strategic choice.
Yeah.
Getting a Fan of Knives from the Swashbuckler has caused Nubs to have to reconsider his turn, but he's still continuing on with the SI7 agent, so Dagger taking out the other Jade Golem there. The only thing Mochii has left in play is a Jade Swarmer in stealth, and Edwin Van Cleef and Patches are knocking Mochii down to 23. So I think Nubs is still on the plan of get it done quickly, and it looks like Mochii is struggling to keep up with that.
And we see the Prep Sprint here, a play that I used to treasure. So we see a lot of cards being drawn here, and we also see a Vanish to help deal with some of this. And we do have the Jade Shuriken here to get rid of some immediate Van Cleef pressure.
I was going to say the first card he got looked like an Eviscerate, which was going to work nicely to take out Van Cleef with the Gunfit coin. But drawing into the Jade Shuriken was even better, and that means he's now got a 4/4 and a 3/3 Jade Golem in play, which are conveniently larger than the minions Nubs has. Now, Nubs is at turn 5, so this is probably where he wants to start playing his Shadowcasters. The question is, do you want a Shadowcaster and SI7 agent? I think you probably do.
I think you maybe have to just to be playing the 4/4 body and use your mana effectively in a way.
Yeah, Because if you play a Sherazin this turn, then you'd be tempted to play another 1-mana card along with it. Those 1-mana cards are generally best used to awaken Sherazin later. It looks like we're going with Sherazin. I'd be very surprised to see if Sherazin was joined by anyone else, though. Swashbuckler first. If you think you're playing Swashbuckler, then do that.
Into another Shadowcaster. We've got to set.
So now I'm curious, is he leading with Sherazin now so that he can Shadowcast a Sherazin repeatedly? Then will he have enough gas to continually reanimate those Sherazins? That could be something.
You just need Sherazin to live once when you can play a Shadowcaster. I mean, you pretty much have it on lock, right?
I think so, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if Mochii was going to trade his 3/3 Jade Golem into that Sherazin right here and now, though. And if he does that, then you're kind of having to choose to Shadowcast something else. Faceless Manipulator on Sherazin. Oh! Dagger takes that Swashbuckler. Uh-oh. Oh no! He's pointing at face.
Oh no!
Oh
the
no!
3-chip damage with infinite. Oh my goodness!
Oh dear! So here's the interesting thing: you play the Shadowcaster on your Sherazin. Fair enough. Do you play your second Sherazin now, or are you saving it as one of your Sherazins to reanimate the first Sherazin?
I think you're saving it to reanimate, to rebring back. Yeah, resurrect the first Sherazin.
And not only that. You play the 1/1 Sherazin on a turn, you're also going to play another Shadowcaster on it. So what you're looking at now is you're having your subsequent turns are Sherazin Shadowcaster. Wow, this could get messy. Nubs, of course, consummate professional, making sure that is the play he wants to make first. Oh, he's just running out the second Sherazin straight away. All right.
Perhaps a little bit more of a short-sighted strategy in terms of getting the immediate value now rather than looking ahead to, okay, well, I'm actually going to revive all of these concisely.
Well, he's got a Southsea deck and a Fan of Knives and a Cold Blood in hand. All you need is another card that you can play the same turn as all of those, and you'll be able to reanimate any Sherazins you have in play. And currently, if you do that alongside Zeril the Poison Mind, that's turn 9. If you play Zeril next turn, you've got yourself a potion that you can do it all like turn 7 at the earliest, and that's not terrible.
I mean, the Vanish is also a very interesting interaction in terms of, okay, so Nubs does get all the Sherazins back online. What if we just bounce them all back?
Yeah, but then he can just play them again. I don't know.
That's true.
It's interesting. Spellbreaker is an interesting one here as well, because with that infested Tauren in the way, like, are you just Spellbreaking that? I mean, if you Spellbreaker that, you're still not looking at any favorable trades to get through everything. I think what I would do, just run Sherazin
Shadowcaster again.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you're not reanimating Sherazin this turn at all, so there's no point doing the trade Sherazin in and then Southsea Deckhand and Cold Blood and all that, because you're never going to get to enough spells to reanimate one of the Sherazins. But
perhaps a slight misstep by Nubs and just not thinking too far ahead of game plan and just being really set on clearing the board.
Yeah, the fact that he's used his deckhand here, I think, is not great, because it leaves him a little shy on having a good swing turn to reanimate however many Sherazins he wants to reanimate. There's an Eye of Blackpaw for Mochii. I think this is exactly the kind of turn Mochii wants to turn this around. I think Nubs has gone in a little early, and well, Firefly.
Yeah, Firefly. If you had any doubts about reviving the card, they can go away. But the other concern is now, how close are we to dying?
Exactly. Firefly is exactly the kind of card you want to draw to reanimate your two Sherazins. But unfortunately, the fact that Mochii has played Eye of Blackpaw getting a 5/5 Jade Golem and a Loot Hoarder has just meant that he's got a lot of stuff on board.
Yep. If we have Shadowcaster,
take into the vase. Oh, 14 on board, 15 with the dagger, 16 with Shadowcaster on patches. I think I see a lethal.
Yep.
Let's just see where the Mochii sees it.
Yep, so he's sending all up top. Oh no.
Let's see it.
Because if we had patches, we had 12 there. Yeah. No, I think we had exact mana, exact lethal, exact everything.
Yeah.
Exact life. Yeah, we did. We could fit in the dagger there for exact lethal.
Exact lethal for the exact mana. It's fine.
Damn.
I mean, I don't know. Is it fine? I mean, I guess if Nubs is actually able to attack back for a lot, maybe it's not as fine, but I've got a funny feeling that Nubs can't close this out.
Again, Mochii's changed the end goal of the turn halfway through, doing a bit of trading and then.
Well, here's one thing he has done is banished and then be able to play 2 1-mana cards to reanimate the Sherazin. So his Sherazin was the last card that would have gone to his hand, but instead death rattled because his hand was too full. And then all he had to do was play 2 more pirates to get it to reanimate, I guess.
Which is good. This is a good heads-up play if you are going to miss lethal.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, obviously, Nubs cannot do 21 damage this turn from an empty board, but Mochii can do 7 on the swing back just from what's in play. Well, no, there's a Vilespine to take out that Sherazin.
Yep.
This is unfortunate. There's a Shiv in hand for a bit extra damage. Aya Blackboar's back in hand. I mean, at this point, Nubs is basically trying to stay alive, and when Aya Blackboar comes down, she's going to summon a 6/6 golem. Yeah. So it's not terrific.
We just have lethal. I don't think we're going to miss it this time.
Where do you see lethal this time? Is there a card?
The Eviscerate. Maybe.
There it is. I didn't see that card being drawn.
Yeah.
Ugh. Gosh, could you imagine if you were Mochii and you didn't manage to win this one? But that's what missed lethal.
The Vanish coming in absolutely clutch there. Doing Mochii in one.
Goodness me. What a game. Well, if I had to pick a deck of Mochii's that was the weakest link, I would say it's the Rogue one. So to get a win first up with his Rogue deck, well, that's something.
Against a more aggressive Rogue deck that you probably shouldn't be winning too many games against. That's huge.
Yeah. So it looks like Nubs has said he was playing Druid, Priest, Warlock, and Rogue, and he had a Priest banned, which means Nubs still has Druid, Warlock, and Rogue. Mochii was playing Priest, Rogue, Paladin, and Shaman. I'm not sure the bans. I'm looking at chat to see if we can see what the ban was. I guess we'll figure it out. Yep.
All right, the ban was
Priest ban. So let's see there. And that means Nubs, Priest, Rogue is lost. So he's still going to play Rogue, Paladin, and Shaman.
So this is the infamous Mochii, much AoE, much crazy Shaman deck that I'll look forward to seeing again.
Yeah, just to try and figure out exactly which 40 cards he's playing, because I can't figure out how he squeezed it.
Oh,
I think
we might have a miscue because Nubs Priest got banned. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, I was about to go on a tirade about how the Shaman deck is in a lot of trouble against Priest, but no such trouble.
Hence the ban. Let's hope that was just a misclick. We don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, I don't think there should be any repercussions. That would be an honest mistake. Who wouldn't want to queue the Priest back up? All right.
Yeah, this Shaman deck is unusual, right? Like, it has all of the AoEs. It still has the Doppelgangster Evolve combo. What doesn't it have?
And it has Moat Lurker. And it has Cold Light Oracle.
A Moat Lurker?
I mean, are you meant to destroy their minion and then evolve it so they don't get it back?
Yes, absolutely. Like, that's the only thing you're going to want to do at that point. Obviously, he's cut the pirates, right? Like, he doesn't have Bloodsail, Corsair, or Patches. I would say he's probably cut the Primal Fin Totems. I don't remember seeing those.
Did we see
Possibly doesn't have Flame Tongues or Fireflies either. Like, he's possibly just cut all of the early game from Evolve Shaman and just has a bunch of AoE, and in the middle of the game still does Evolve. Oh, there's the Primal Fin Totem. That's still in there.
Yeah, again, that 40-card deck just slipping between the cracks.
Yeah. All right, so Nubs has queued his Druid this time. Has at least got a Jade Blossom in hand, but not much else in the way of ramp to get to his Spreading Plague or his Jade Behemoth. And, of course, his Ultimate Infestation up the top end there.
Okay, so we see a whiff on the Wild Growth there, and we're going to see a Primal Fin Totem probably go unchecked for a little while, considering that the Jade Blossom will very likely be your turn 3 to play. So we'll just see a hero here from Mochii.
Spreading Plague is a nice comeback if you can't deal with the wide board for a while, but if your opponent has Devolve, it is not as good as it looks. Those minions are all worth 2 each, so by the time they devolve them, you end up with a bunch of 1-drops. So here we have a Jade Blossom at least causing Nubs to gain some mana. He's drawn a Nourish, which means his 5th mana turn, which is turn 4, I believe, can be spent gaining even more mana. But Mochii is just spreading wide on the board. Now, I'm guessing with all of the stuff added, I can see a Bone Mare as well. He doesn't have Bloodlust, right? Oh,
Surely not. So we're going to see the Nourish for ramp rather than the MC tech there, which is fair enough. And you got to wonder when the time is, if you are ever going to pull an early game evolve. I mean, it does seem kind of okay.
yeah, I don't know when he's going to want to MC
never
tech.
mind.
Sorry, to evolve, but there's the doppelgangster. So he's just going to wait till his board's been cleared, and then he's going to doppelgangster evolve.
Yeah.
If Nubs were to draw a swipe at any point, that would look pretty good for Nubs.
Devastating. Well, the spreading plague's pretty devastating in of itself. Actually, this is crushing.
Or the swipe. So he's leading with the spreading plague for 7 plague tokens, and then he's going to hero power down the taunt totem.
Mm-hmm.
And unless Mochii evolves on his turn, I would say that he's going to get his face swiped right off. But you never know. Because if I was Mochii, I'd be thinking, well, I'm going to keep this evolve for my doppelganger. There's the devolve I talked about.
Devolve.
The turn after the spreading plague, devolve it. And then I guess we will
devolve it and storm it. That is huge.
Goodness gracious. I mean, he is still going to get swiped, right? So it's not perfect.
It's not all
even
that.
After he gets swiped, he's just going to be like doppelgangster evolve. And then he's going to laugh his way.
Exactly, and that's again, this Primal Fin Totem has done that by itself.
Yeah.
Caused that this much trouble to get you the chance to effectively go into the reload really nice. It's going to be left on the board is the 2/3 Jade Spirit after it's all said and done. Never mind, I missed the overload there. It's been a long day.
I'm surprised that Nubs didn't also play the Jade Idol for a 3/3 Jade Golem there.
Yeah, just because tempo would be, you'd think, a bit more important than the immediate kind of value.
Also, getting a card out of your hand so that you could play Ultimate Infestation this turn without overdrawing at any point, but...
Super relevant. Maybe there's a world where you play your Death Knight here and you can play your Mark of the Lotus.
I think you definitely... Absolutely. I definitely think that you Malfurion the Pestilent here, and maybe you play the Jade Idol at this point as well. Look, if he's ever planning on shuffling the Jade Idol, I would have done that last turn too, because... You've already got the infestation, so it's not like you're causing the top of your deck to get worse by shuffling it. So I think you're definitely Death Knighting. I think you're definitely Mark of the Lotusing. And if you're not playing your Jade Idol to get a Jade Golem, then I think you're shuffling it because you don't really need to hero power down that Mana Tide Totem. You can just attack it down with your Jade Spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm seeing a hovering card bug thingy. I take it you can... Nope, there we go. It's finished off the animation.
Just a lot of thinking. I mean... You're right. You're very right about the shuffle. Regardless, in any world we live in, you should have either played that or maybe shuffled in preparation for the turn 10. I agree completely. This play's still pretty good, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was probably playing around extra AoE last turn. But that's fine. Oh, he's hero powered instead of the Mark of the Lotus. Oh, I guess that's fine, too. Here's the Doppelgangster Evolve. And it's the perfect number of minions that he can't even mind control take him.
Well, the Moat Lurker is not so good, the Fight Promoter is not so good, and the Cultist is a bit of... Yeah, it's decent.
A 7/6 is certainly respectable, though. Scarum Cultist. It looks like that it is going to get Ultimate Infestation, and for just the right amount of cards that he doesn't end up overdrawing at any point.
That's right, and I think that's what Nubs is working towards with all of this in mind, just making sure we don't overdraw off the Ultimate Infestation.
I mean, that turn where he skipped playing the Jade Idol, the turn he also played the Jade Spirit.
Yeah.
Bad anyway. But maybe that was just nerves, as we keep saying, fatigue at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like one of the Scarabs is happy to trade with the Cultist. Well, you can't take out both the minions. It's just a matter of which one you choose to get rid of. Both of them are a little innocuous, to be quite honest. They're perfectly good to be evolved, but not much good for anything else. And if you can only trade with one of them, I guess...
You probably take out the one with better stats?
I don't know.
Well, there's a Cold Light Oracle. You could have some fun here.
So anyway, the hovering card bug that we thought we saw there is when it looks like your opponent's playing a card and it just sort of sits in midair. Usually if your opponent does it, you'll see it upside down in midair. And the real giveaway when you start seeing targeting arrows turn up afterwards while the card's still hovering. And if you see that, you should immediately quit your client and reload. I've had this happen while playing on mobile. It is not pretty, but it's called the card hover bug, and maybe hopefully one day it'll get fixed. And it'll never stop hovering there until you restart the client. Not pretty at all. Oh, there's an overdraw on Eye of Blackpaw. Not the best thing to overdraw, but not the worst. I mean,
what's fortunate for Nubs is that the 10th card that came from the Cold Light Oracle draw was that Jade Idol, and then the overdrawn stuff happened after that, so very fortunate sequencing there on the overdraw.
Yeah. if you're going to be worried about losing all your Jade Idols, having at least one in backup is fine. Yeah, you don't mind so much that Aya Blackball was overdrawn when your opponent's running a bunch of hexes. Although, do we know that Nubs knows that Mochi's running hex? I mean, he was watching the watching Mochii play against Gaetsu last game, so maybe he does know about
I think it's safe to think, you know that at that point.
Still, at this point, I think it is kind of difficult for Mochii to stop Nubs. It looks like Nubs is getting his Jade Idol recursion online. It's not something you see very often these days, but he's certainly getting there. And there's no Skulking Geist for Mochii to be able to stop it. Nubs has a great deal of health. It's just a matter of getting there in the long game.
Yeah, and I think Druid is going to slowly, just by virtue of power, card advantage, and an insane hero power, just start to run away with this one.
Yeah. Oh gosh, here we go. Mind Control Tech's finally stealing something.
On the Aya, here we go.
No, but a thing from below will do.
Yeah.
You're not unhappy about that. Is he just going for the swipe to really rub it in? I'd be tempted just to hero power Aya down and then just start trading with stuff. But no, swipe.
You definitely have the health, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you play your Mark of the Lotus?
I mean, at this point, apparently you'd play it never, but I mean, now seems like a great time to play it. You have 6 minions on board. It doesn't get much better than that. Like, are you really waiting for, like, a good... No, he's still not playing it now, I guess? I mean, it's not like you're waiting for a good... He's shuffling in the Jade Idols, just to be sure. It's not like you can wait for a great Spreading Plague turn. We've passed that. That's happened.
I think he's a little bit worried about investing the card into Devolve, but I think at this point, your opponent's already played one, and you're really not losing a lot.
No, I mean, you've got a couple of 6-mana minions, a 5-mana minion, 2 4-mana minions, and 3-mana minion. Like, Devolve doesn't hurt you that badly.
Oh, sure enough, you see the writing on the wall? That's right. We'll take that 1-1 in the series. The Druid taking a pretty convincing win there.
Yeah. I'm guessing Mochii wanted to face that down with his Paladin, because at least with his Paladin he had Skulking Geist in the deck.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be... Yeah, it will be interesting. And I think, as far as I'm aware, Nubs still has that Zoolock, which will be interesting against a deck with, you know, if he cues it into a deck with 2 Lightning Storm, 2 Portal, he could be in for a world of pain. And 2 Jade Claws. And
if you think about the Paladin, also a bunch of Consecrates and Equalities and Pyromancers and Eldor Peacekeepers and things like that. So I think the Zoolock is going to struggle against... Like, while it wasn't nice that Mochii lost that last game, I do feel like Nubs might struggle to close out this against that Shaman and against that Paladin.
Yeah, I agree. And we also saw a Bomb Squad in Mochii's deck in the mulligan just there. So the craziness just gets crazier. It's all about evolving those negative death rattles away with those good battle cries. He's loving it. So I'm guessing
Nubs is coining out Prince Kaliseth on turn 1 here. Because then when he patches out with Swashbuckler next turn, it's a 2-2, and then when he South Sea deckhands the following turn, it buffs a lot. So J-Claw taking out Kaliseth, it's like, sure, that's fine.
Oh, and we got a 2-2 Swashbuckler there as well. That is insane.
Yep. So I guess Patches maybe eats that 1-1 Jade Golem. And there's another Swashbuckler. So he's got a Jade Lightning out of the first Swashbuckler and a Marabi out of the other one. Being overloaded does not help Mochii here. You can take down probably the 2-2 Swashbuckler, but I suspect that South Sea Captain the following turn is going to be nasty. I'm sure
I really like the Patches value trade into the 1-1, yeah, because it put the Shaman in a really bad spot in terms of...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Remaining on the board and how to use that Jade Claws.
I mean, Nubs may have guessed that Mochii is not running Flame Tongue Totem, but you wouldn't take that risk. You just keep the minions off the board for the Shaman.
Exactly right. Better to be safe than sorry, especially with the deck building of Mochii.
I like this Devolve. Oh, 3 1-1s. It's just a shame he didn't have a Maelstrom Portal on hand. But a second J-Claws does clean up rather a lot here and puts the Rogue in a less commanding position than it was before.
Zeril pretty good on curve here. If it dies, it's still floating a 1-mana spell there as well. And you're starting to move into these Shadowcaster turns. So if Nubs can stick a minion with significant value on the board and start rolling Shadowcasters, it's going to be a painful day for Mochii.
think so. I like that backstab on the Jade Golem there because you know that your opponent doesn't have a Maelstrom Portal at this point, so you want to try and get some value out of those 1/1s you have on the board. You know, there's going to come a turn where you no longer depend on that, but for now it seems fine. Coldblade Oracle drawing 2 cards for both players. I would sort of think that Nubs is going to think, they will have found the Maelstrom at this point. Drawing
the road cards doesn't seem like the winning strategy, does it?
No, I can't imagine you want to do that in a hurry. We got a lot of things. We got a couple of both the toxins from Zeril are basically the Shadow Step toxins. So that does not sound like fun for anyone trying to play against a rogue. We got a Shadow Step toxin on the Snowflip Penguin, reducing the Snowflip Penguin from 0 mana to 0 mana. I think I would have gone with the Cold Blood in there. Just spend the mana. At this point, you figure your opponent doesn't have a Maelstrom Portal. Maybe I guess you're worried that they've drawn into a Lightning Storm or something, but I don't know. Just get the extra damage and put them down to 10, especially now that you've drawn a Leroy. Leroy is not quite lethal yet, but the Jade Lightning... Why is the Jade Lightning taking out the 3/3? Leroy is almost lethal. I mean, we know it's not because there's a thing from below and a Jade Shifter in the hand. I think I just would have been tempted to Leroy Coldblood go face there, and then your opponent either has to heal or put taunts up, and will probably only be able to do one, and then the Jade Lightning finishes it.
Again, it's about forcing your opponent to have a very specific answer to the problem you present them, and if they don't, you literally win the game. So yeah, I agree with you completely.
It's fine. I mean, they've had a long day, we've had a long day. It's easier for us when we're not playing. I mean, that thing from below is clearly going to get Vilespine Slayed there. So we've got Vilespine Slayer, we can play a Snowflipper Penguin if we like, we've got a Cold Blood just to get some damage in.
I think we definitely have to shoot the Cold Blood at some point soon. Surely.
Yeah, you don't need to save it for Leroy. I mean, this Blood Thistle Toxin is a Shadow Step. You can use that with Leroy as well. He's still not Cold Blooding. He's just resetting his dagger. He just moused over the Cold Blood and probably went, maybe I should.
This probably would have been good.
So it takes 9 mana to Blood Thistle Toxin Leroy twice in a turn. But as long as there are no taunts in the way, he can do it soon. But I don't think that's necessary. I think you just Leroy Cold Blood. I mean, I guess the Blood Thistle Toxin is going to be great on the Vilespine Slayer next turn. He's going to put down the Jade Shiften, or a Bone Mare apparently, and that taunt's just going to be taken right out of the way.
Yeah.
Jade Shiften makes a 4/4 with taunt. Bone Mare makes a 4/6 or a 4/7 with taunt. Neither of those takes down the Vilespine Slayer. So Vilespine Slayer is going to get... I was going to say Shadow Stepped, but it's Blood Thistle Toxined to get it out of the way. Or maybe Bone Mare.
Well, at this point, yeah, it's like we just have pending lethal.
Yeah, no, it's lethal. Leroy and Cold Blood.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Easy does it. Nubs spots it nice and comfortably. Looks like Nubs goes up to a 2-1 lead pretty quickly.
Yep. I mean, that's one of the drawbacks of Mochii's sweet decks. And let's face it, they are sweet decks.
They are sweet.
Sometimes your opponent just has a good, solid opening, good, solid follow-through, and a good, solid go take it to the next game.
Yeah, and that's the power of Rogue, right? They just keep applying very steady pressure throughout the entirety of that early game, and it's not just the sweet decks that crumble to it, it's basically almost every single deck right now that can crumble to it any given game.
And so, if I remember correctly, Nubs has Zoo Warlock to finish with, which is a deck that may struggle against Control Shaman, which
and Paladin.
And Control Paladin. But he's got 2 shots at doing it. All he has to do is get 1 great draw between these 2 games, and he's through to the finals. Whereas Mochii has to stave off 2 good, solid Zoo Warlock draws to be able to make it himself.
He's put himself
Nubs
in
threw away
it's
everything.
Possible to get that win with Zoo, so he's looking in okay stead.
Yeah, mind you, this hand for Nubs is not fantastic. It's got a bunch of 5-drops. Well, that was nice. So Nubs was probably thinking, I don't want to run out my Bloodsail Corsair on turn 1. There's going to be True Silver Champions to take down. Instead, he draws an Argent Squire off the top to make him feel a lot happier about that. Especially when Mochii is so empowering.
Do you tap here or do you play the Voidwalker?
Yeah, I play the Voidwalker.
I do too.
Yeah, like, life tapping is good and all, but what are you going to do with a handful of cards?
And you can play the Corsair here to balance out the mana if you want. Get the patches out.
Yeah, you just get a bunch of stuff on the board. You have the coin, so you know your opponent can't do anything terrible by putting a buff on that 1/1. I think I can respect trading patches for the Silver Hand Recruit as well. That way you keep a minion with a Divine Shield in case a Consecration comes down.
Yeah,
Eldor Peacekeeper is sizable.
It's trivial, but you eliminate your chances of drawing patches as well.
Yeah, of course. So the Eldor Peacekeeper is going to start eating these minions one at a time. The Divine Shield is really going to help in that regard. True Silver Champion, of course, is going to allow them to eat 2 minions a turn. But we are probably going to see a Cobalt Scalebane next turn, I would say, which is going to make things a little harder for Mochii to deal with. He does have a Consecration in hand, of course, but it's all about making awkward threats. Speaking of awkward threats, Defender of Argus is probably even better than Cobalt Scalebane this turn. Oh, he's going with Scalebane anyway.
I think I really like the Scalebane. Especially because you can roll Scalebane into Scalebane.
Yeah. Although you're about to get Consecration cleared here. No, Consecration clear is still fine. You're just landing another Scalebane next turn.
Yep. I think that's completely okay.
I mean, if you'd gone Defender of Argus this turn, you would have got the same result. Defender of Argus, take the Divine Shield off on the Eldor and face with the other one. The Consecration still does the same thing to you. So it doesn't really matter, but he did spend the coin. Despicable Dreadlord over Cobalt Scalebane, that's totally fine this turn too.
Yeah.
Despicable Dreadlord is definitely a card that Mochii needs to deal with, and at this point currently does not have the ability to do so.
You see the guys coming down here.
Geist, will it take anything out?
Nope.
Looks like Nubs is not playing the version with a Mortal Coil or 2 in it, or any Soulfires. Actually, that's interesting. So there we go. Nubs is not running Soulfire, which I guess means he's probably also not running Malchezaar's Imp. Interesting.
Which means he's just playing like a very gritty kind of list here. Just wants to like use the Doom Guards as food or finishes or just board.
So Nubs has set up a board that'll hopefully survive so he can Doom Guard something. Bone Mare something. Eldor Peacekeeper has reduced the Dreadsteed, and there's a Corpse Taker. Well, it's going to take a bit of battling to get through all of that. Corpse Taker's got Lifesteal, Divine Shield, and Taunt. I mean, I guess...
the burger with the lot.
Yeah. It's like, does Nubs want to wait the turn to take the Hero Power off with the Divine Shield off with his Despicable Dreadlord? But I doubt it. You don't want to leave a pellet either.
It's awkward, isn't it?
It is. So it looks like we're just denying the Paladin all of the minions, or is the Bone Mare going to...
If this is the line that Nubs has chosen, I like to trade on the Eldor.
Here we go. Yep, that's what I was hoping to. The fact that Mochii was now on 30 health, I just would not respect and leave up that Eldor Peacekeeper. Disrespect it. All right, so we have a Lich King. That currently is bigger than everything else. So what do you do? Do you Doom Guard and trade into it? Doesn't seem good. Do you Cobalt Scalebane and then trade in 2 of your minions? Doesn't seem great. Serenite Chain Gang? None of this seems at all very good.
Do we need to tap? And worst case scenario, we still have that 6 mana to play with, which means we can still do a lot given our hand.
Well, yeah, I think looking at what you've got to play, there's not a lot of great plays. So I suspect you're putting a life tap somewhere in this turn. So you may as well start with it. We were talking about this a few hours ago. If you're going to be having a play during your turn that yields hidden information, like right now you don't know what the top card of your deck is, you go with that first if you can. Because life tap now will give you the information of what was on the top of your deck and you know where you're going from there. But Nubs is busy weighing that up now, and there's Nubs' rope.
And I hope that's a Nubs not being a victim of MBN and just being the victim of a tough turn. Yeah, it's a victim of a tough turn. It's all good.
It is. He's trading into that. Yep, 2 Fireflies and a Scalebane, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I can't say I hate this at all.
Didn't do the life tap before the end of turn, but let's face it, Scalebane and a Firefly is good enough.
Alright, so the Scalebane buffing on the Firefly there still presents, pretty significant threat. The Blackguard's an interesting pickup here as well. I do believe we want to open up this turn for the Paladin with the Stonehill Defender, see if we can spike a Tyrium or a Tyrim. Again, if we have unknown information, we want to establish that first, so then we can, establish the best course of action when we have all the information. So that's why we're discovering a taunt first, to see A, what we can get, and B, how a turn might possibly change. We already know we have Blackguard and the other cards in hand, so this is the importance of sequencing well, because if there was a card here that would change the turn, we want to know about that first before we use our mana.
So the interesting thing here is that whatever Mochii does not deal with the Cobalt Scalebane, which means the Cobalt Scalebane is about to buff something else. Now, I like Mochii's line of thinking here is he wants to get some minions on the board so that he can anti-magic shell them. I've got a funny feeling that Cobalt Scalebane is going to mean it's going to be hard for him to keep minions on board. He may not have a turn where he can actually get enough stuff into play to get value out of that anti-magic shell.
You got to wonder if there's ever a world... it's bad.
I don't think Acolyte is the one you want this turn. I think he's playing Acolyte because he knows that he needs to find a Pyromancer or a Consecration to go with that equality.
I agree, yeah. I think that's exactly what's going on here. And the Bone Mirror is another strong pickup for Nubs. It looks like Nubs is going to be able to use most of the power cards before even having to think about Doomsaying, which is absolutely insane, especially if he's running the Gul'dan Death Knight. If we can play the Bone Mirror, the Serenite Chain Gang, and then play the Doomguard, and then find Gul'dan, that is just so much power that we've gotten to go through in the best possible sequence throughout the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is panning out quite nicely for Nubs. I like bone mirroring a minion that's not attacking. I like that. See, usually you'd be thinking, I want to get a lot of attack going forward right now. So the thing about Bone Mirror that's fantastic is that it puts its buff on a minion that can attack, which gives that +4/+4 initiative that can come out straightforward. But you don't have to do that. In this place, he's put it on the Flame Elemental because that just makes things really awkward for Mochii to trade into. He's just had to attack the Acolyte in for no value into a 5/6. Which doesn't create a situation that can True Silver Champion something down. I like that play. Just because you know that you can get the initiative out of your Bone Mare doesn't mean you have to. And this board is really threatening. Mochii needs an Equality Consecration or a Quality Pyromancer to deal with this, and he just hasn't got it.
The Acolyte draw was fair there in the sense that you had 2 Primordial Drake, 2 Wild Pyromancer, and 2 Consecrate to actually hit there, so you did have the 6 and 16 there.
I absolutely think you do want to have that Acolyte down and draw as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It just sucks that he missed on all the chords.
Yeah, I like Nub's play of saying, right, I respect that you need to draw. I'm not going to let you.
Yep, I like it as well. Callister third deciding, I think this is more than fair to play the Doomguard and then tap for the buff minion thereafter. The Chain Gang is probably consequential to what's going on. So Nubs is playing this deck really well. Probably a really experienced Zoo player, at least from what I can tell. Obviously played the Archetype before.
I think so too. This is working out quite nicely.
This is such a trade there. The 4/1 into the 4/4. This is good. I would love to see it tap here though. See what we pick up. That's a Vicious Fledgling. And
Vicious Fledgling is a nice draw there. Nice draw for the Vicious Legend. You don't need that in play. You've got an incredible board that your opponent has to deal with, and when your opponent deals with it, that's when you drop yourself a nice Vicious Fledgling.
Okay, so is there any possible out that Stonehill can give us to draw a card, or is there anything Ivory Knight can do to get us into a Pyro? I don't think so.
No. This can get you a Consecration in theory, which deals with a bunch of stuff, just not enough. Because it gains you 4 health, kills everything but the Bone Mare and the Doomguard, but then you just take 14 on the attack back to go back to 4 health, so it's not terrific.
It looks like Nubs is about to cruise his way to the grand final.
I think so.
Really well piloted.
Good deck selection and a strong deck. I like the fact that he's not playing Soulfire. That's a big move. I did a Warlock Zoo infographic last week or the week before. No, the week before. And Soulfire was pretty core in all of the lists. So Nubs' decision to cut Soulfire in the list, I think, is really good. It's very interesting.
Taking a step back to the old days.
Yeah, and what's interesting about making that kind of decision in your deck building is that your opponent really does expect you to have those Soulfires. They're going to play around the Soulfires. They're going to think, this turn's going to be awkward if I play it this way. I'm going to be playing into a Soulfire. He just doesn't have it. That actually works in his favor.